So here's a chap with many names. Some know him as Wally, others know him as Charlie, some Americans know him as Waldo. And yet despite being well known, the poor fellow has a rather nasty habit of getting lost, and thus people have to find him because, well, where's Waldo and all that jazz. His misadventures has often been the subject of interesting game books, where you'd have to seek the poor fellow out, and that's about all I know really. I dig deeper into the subject, but it'd be a pointless endeavor. Now chances are some of you folks are familiar with the NES game Where's Waldo, whether you've heard of it through a number of online video reviews, none of which came from Uncle Jimmy by the way, or you might have actually played the game, in which case you have my deepest condolences. Obviously, the NES was ill-equipped to properly replicate the experience of the Waldo books due to the limited color palette, and quite frankly, anything else. But a Super NES game? Yeah, that might be a little more like it. And so we have the Great Waldo Search for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Big props to my buddy for letting me borrow the game for the purposes of this review. So the main goal of the game is rather simple. You have to find Waldo. Not only do you have to find Waldo, but you also have to find the scroll left behind by Wizard Whitebeard because, well, scrolls and stuff. You control the magnifying glass and move left and right on the playfield to look for Waldo and the scroll. Not only that, but you can also look for clocks to increase the time allotted for each level, as well as bonus points and Waldo's dog, who has his very own bonus stage where you can collect bonus bones for bonus points and stuff. There are 5 levels in the Great Waldo Search, 4 based on historical periods, and a final level filled with Waldos, where instead of looking for Waldo himself because he's actually everywhere, you look for his sock. And yes, you still need to get the scroll. Beating the game will get you this woefully uninteresting congratulations screen, while running out of time gets you this less than woeful game over screen. Well, at least it tries to sound encouraging, so there's that. On a purely technical level, and clearly this should go without saying, but damn it, I'll say it anyway, the Great Waldo Search benefits from the added Super Nintendo capabilities, with the extra colors and bigger characters and all that. It is much easier to find Waldo here than it is on the NES game, because the graphics are that much richer, and there's no muddy palette to be found. Most of it is just a long static image with sprite recycling and some minor animation sprinkled about for good measure. Your magnifying glass cursor thing moves much slower, thus is much more manageable than the sporadic cursor of the NES game. Indeed, this is a much more manageable game than that makes it easier to find things. Of course, it's not all easy, as the maps do have some gracious amounts of red in them, and it's oftentimes easy for the scrolls to blend in with the rest of the background. Waldo sticks out like a sore thumb, which I find odd since it's supposed to be, where's Waldo? Oh, there he is. But the scrolls are a little tougher to come by because they're much smaller, and they have a tendency to blend. Especially when playing the expert skill setting where the scroll has a tendency to hide behind some object or another. If you know where to look, this shouldn't take long to clear, and thus all replay value is ultimately tossed out the window. The thing with Where's Waldo, the Great Waldo Search, the concept in general, is while they might have made for interesting and entertaining books, the medium doesn't transfer well to video game format. The Great Waldo Search is, in a word, boring, even for a searching game. What it does, for the most part, it does competently enough, but it doesn't make the game any more fun to play. There were moments where I were fighting my own fatigue and boredom when playing this game. That's how bad it got. On a technical level, it works just fine, but that doesn't make it a game worth playing. Bottom line, if you enjoyed the Waldo books, you'd be best served sticking with the Waldo books. The Great Waldo Search on the Super Nintendo is not worth your time in tracking down. I wouldn't bother with this one.